quite a lot of Nigel Farage. Good, now that he's standing in a seat and he's become a party leader, there's a lot of him in this election. So in the Times, here we are. There's the headline. Tories must embrace Farage. And that's Suella Braverman, you remember, who was the Home Secretary, lost her job. Tories must embrace him. How would they do that, Ava?
Well, I think there's a school of thought that Farage will win a seat in Clacton and then he will somehow merge over. He might cross the floor when he's actually in the House of Commons. But I don't imagine he's got any plans himself to do that. The problem that the Conservatives are facing at the moment is that they are pulling policy toward the right to appease Farage, to try and scoop back up those reform voters that have been pulled away from him. And actually, you know, I think this is very damaging to the Conservative brand. I think if they really went down the sort of one nation route, then perhaps they'd have more luck in the election.
Well, in the end, I suppose she's looking beyond the election, is she, James, or what?
She might be looking beyond the election, but it actually demonstrates that what she's trying to do is to pick up on Farage's populism. And there's no doubt, look, I've been in the constituency of Clacton over the weekend, as one does, because that's where I go, and Nigel Farage is ever present, and that's all people are talking about.
Sorry, you've got a house in Clacton. Is your house in
Frinton-on-Sea?
Frinton is in Clacton.
It's within the constituency of Clacton.
You're always talking about Frinton and the tennis courts, and I didn't know it was in Clacton.
Well, that's because you didn't ask.
We might have Nigel Farage as your MP.
Well, I could very well have Nigel Farage as my MP.
You'd be delighted.
I'm sure he would be delighted.
You would be, would you?
Listen, I don't talk about who I vote for, thank you very much indeed, as you well know, Jeremy. You know,
okay.
as a broadcaster. And genuinely, I've yet to make up my mind. Because I've got a local MP, Giles Watling, who has been fantastic for the local community. And then I have Nigel Farage, who's fighting a national campaign in a local seat. So as everybody will be looking at it, do you vote nationally or do you vote locally?
You've got to ask him about Frinton Tennis Club next time you see him.
Don't you worry. He may very well be visiting, and when he does, you'll see the picture.
So just on Farage, Ella's going to bring me her phone, Ella, the floor manager, because we've got the clip that caused the bother, which was Farage talking about Rishi Sunak. And I'll just play you the sound of this, OK?
Firstly, your reaction to...
Talking about D-Day here.
The D-Day anniversary.
It's appalling, and it shows the man doesn't understand. And he's not basically patriotic. He doesn't care about our history, frankly, our culture. You know, D-Day was an amazing operation.
So that is the clip from Farage. Rishi Sunak doesn't care about our history and our culture. And people said, well, wait, is that a reference to Rishi Sunak's Asian origins or something? And he was questioned about that on Laura Kuenssberg's show.
You said that he wasn't patriotic, and you said that Rishi Sunak didn't understand our history and our culture. What did you mean by that?
Yeah. Absolutely right. You know, he couldn't make a mistake over D-Day. He should have known in his heart that it was right to be there. I was there. I've been raising money for some weeks to send veterans back to Normandy. The vast majority of people in Britain felt this commemoration was important and the last opportunity to honour the remnants that are still alive. And by the way, I know what your question's leading at. 40% of our contribution in World War I and World War II came from the Commonwealth. He is utterly disconnected by class, by privilege, from how the ordinary folk in this country feel. He revealed that, I think, spectacularly when he left Normandy early.
Right. What do you make of Farage's defence? He wasn't referring to Rishi Sunak's ethnic origin.
He keeps saying that he raised money to take people back to Normandy. It almost sounds as if he was trying to deport the veterans, which is very confusing. But on this, sorry. So, yeah, I mean, it's a dog whistle. It quite obviously is a dog whistle.
So it's
I appreciate that he has doubled down on it, and he has said that this is actually about class and it's about privilege. And on that, I think he's right. I think that, you know, I think that... I suppose it's a working class endeavour, isn't it? The people who were sent to really fight on the ground, boots on the ground. I mean, particularly even when you think about the war before that, when you think about the Somme, that was a working class endeavour. Young boys were sent over the trenches to go and die.
So Farage is right.
And so Farage is making the argument there. He's claiming he's making the argument that actually this is specifically about his class and privilege. However, I think that, you know, when you're talking about culture, I think we all know what culture means. And, you know, that is quite striking. I don't know if you would use that word on a white politician.
Sorry, I missed the last bit because I was talking over you. You wouldn't say that of a white politician,
I don't imagine he would, no.
OK, James?
I think you would say it, actually, if you didn't understand a culture. And I think if you want to look at it as a dog whistle, you can. But I actually think that what he's saying is that we've got a Prime Minister who does seem to be very out of touch and is not listening to what he's being told. And the reason that I say that is that Lord Cameron, who you might say could very well be disconnected on class, on education, on all these other things, apparently advised Rishi Sunak to stay. So there is somebody who you could accuse him being very privileged, but he is listening and he does connect better with people. So I think there is a really important
there were
point
lots
here.
of posh people, who were officers and stuff who had their, lives taken on these battlefields.
Yes, of course.
Whether
And I don't think this is I think this is are you listening to the nation as to what's important to the people who you're trying to secure the votes from? And I think time and again, Rishi Sunak has demonstrated that he's sort of listening, but he's not listening. And it's the same as when he announced, if you go back in time and you look at when he announced the 5p cut in fuel because you're hurting and the cost of living crisis, he borrowed somebody else's car to do it and he thought 5p would make a difference. So this is somebody who listens, but he doesn't listen. He was listening because he was there and he knew that he was busy. But if he was that intently listening, he should have realised that it was a massive dumb mistake. He should have gone onto the BBC and done the 7-way debate, and we should have seen him over the weekend. And instead, he's been hiding, and we haven't heard sight nor sound of him.